I'm back. Had a little hold up. Going to talk to a counselor turned into voluntary admission to OSU Emergency Center. Turned into involuntary. Turned into 8 days in the mental hospital. Um, but it's all good. Everything happens for a reason. I think I was actually needed there. Um, my cohort, we all came in, like 10 of us on Monday, and we were our own therapy. That was it, face to face, the commerce. Uh, I mean, that was a very laid back place, and so just to see that, like we helped each other. That's therapy. It's talking. That's what we were missing. But it's just kind of funny. These people are like, "Oh, can you tell us what?" I'm like, "Who's the crazy one here?" All the staff, masks all the time. One night, they were all just like turning purple. Of course, we were crazy, so we didn't have to worry about masks and social distancing. So some advantages to that. Um, so, yeah, all good. Um, the doctor told me the last day. He's like, my health. He's like, well, whatever you're doing, it works. So that's all good. Uh, so I don't even know. I just well, in Eastern traditions, they say that the spirit enters the body at 49 days, so 7 weeks, and there's just no way to get to 49. Like, there's no multipliers, just nothing, except the mirror sevens. So the seven senses, seeing the seven senses, gives you your 49 to start life, right? To see if you can get that majority percentage of your development, the real life development, not these truncated lives, right? The programmed into us that we manifest that, then yeah, you'll get sick and die if that's what you believe. It's that powerful. I was just thinking that they said, oh, it came from a bat. The COVID, someone ate a bat. Well, Ozzy ate a bat, right? All those years ago. Just another way, another form of that. What is the natural human lifespan? It was reported in the New York Times in the 1930s that there was a 326-year-old Chinese guy, and well documented. But I remember he only ate stuff above ground, so leaves. You just take the outer leaves so you don't kill the plant. So like carrots and potatoes. There's just all right. Going back. The Wi-Fi is not cooperating, so we'll use our 5G towers. Everybody's still waiting for those to get turned on. Um, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. A lot of people, it's all heaven and hell, Satan. What is that exactly? Of course, we know everything is right there in the mind. Um, and they showed you as a little kid, right? There's a little angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other one. So it's a decision. It's that free will. So if you go against the law, then that would be Satan. It's a state of mind. You adhere to the law, then that's angelic. So, we can dream up these lots of stuff out there to be afraid of. Someone asked, why is there madness and all this mental disorders and all that? If from that higher level, it's experimenting. Every person that ends up in there has their God with them. It's not as bad as they think. It's just they have lost touch with their creator. And that's the way it can go. And that's what this realm is for. It's a practice. To learn. To graduate. Right? To become that 666. So yeah, I stopped watching news and reading newspapers 12 years ago, but man, I was just bored in there. So they had the paper. I was reading it. Nothing outside of COVID. Every story. And then they're starting with all the racial murders are back. Everyone's 19, killed by a 49-year-old white cop. just over and over and over. And then I saw that the BLM went to a little town in Ohio, Bethel, 2,800 people, Bethlehem. So I read the whole Bible while I was there again. So I mean, it's all according to a script, right? Why would they go to Bethel, Ohio? Can you imagine the people there, and all this entourage shows up, all their cameras, and yeah, it will drive you nuts. But you know, we know it's just the show. All the protesters coming in from out of town, this pink bus with all these weirdos on it, stop traffic downtown in Columbus, and they just got a citation for blocking traffic. So you know, they're all in on it. Just coming here for the show, see where people are at. What was the other one there? But yeah, just people just buy into that. If you read it all the time, you see it on the news, you start to believe it. That becomes your reality. So a lot of us truthers, we know that. We just can tune it out, or we should be tuning it out, but you have to be aware that that's what is driving all these other people's behaviors. I looked up that Bertrand Russell book. I'll get my books out. I had to reorganize them here today, but you know, 80% of the people don't question anything. They're just like, oh, government's taking care of me. I'm gonna be safe, and you know, everything will be all right. That's 80%, right? That's 4 out of 5 people. That's why that's who we're trying to wake up, but they can't. They will not wake up. This isn't a big deal to them. They're just like doing their part. That's all they see. They're not afraid. We're like afraid of them, and then we're also afraid of. We got the worst of both worlds. Might as well just make peace with each end, right? Just find that fear and just learn to love it. It's like good. They're following orders. They just don't have anyone telling them the truth, except this government that just keeps agitating and pushing. And of course, nothing makes sense in what they're doing from here on this level. So just kick it upstairs and then see what would be the logic of all that. You know, why is the COVID now a heart that's in violet and indigo? What's that got to do with a virus? I mean, it's crazy that you just yap at people. You're going to get sick and die, you know, catch a virus. I mean, we know germ theory is bunk. You don't catch disease. You can't catch my health, you know, because you're putting something above your maker that's breaking the law. So they're all lawbreakers. So have compassion for that. But yeah, I was really needed there. Like the people I helped with this information, they were like eternally grateful. You know, I have like lifelong friends now, just from that going through that experience. So it all happens for a reason. So yeah, I mean, COVID is not meant to make sense. Your government is not meant to make sense. So expect it. There's no point in railing at it. That's just all it can do. So people were asking, you know, this Babylon system. A lot of people don't even believe there's a Babylon, right? You read it in the Bible and it's like, oh, that's terrible. People are just doing all this. Well, that's what this is. That's what this civilization is. Just breaking the law, just not knowing. I see all the, you know, the law people, and they're going back and forth with their rights and all these processes, and that they're bereft of that one law that organizes everything that they're trying to accomplish. Because you can only go so far in that process, straw man, whatever you want to call it. But when you have that in your heart, and you know that law, all that stuff just clears away. It makes sense. It has to be that way. Nothing to worry about there. Gurus, yeah, you're going to find gurus. They can help you for a while, but you got to use your discernment. You are your own guru at the end of the day. One that I was into was Alan Watt, Cutting Through the Matrix. But you know, it's just a one-hit wonder, like saying the same things over and over. It helped me at that time, 2008. I was like, I just need a voice to listen to, and here he was, calm, but got your attention too. Like I remember I was in the golf course, and he was like, all the stuff is going on. And he's like, it's going on right now, and like the whole world just stopped for me. Like, um, so whoever you're into, learn from them, appreciate them, be grateful that you can help them back. Um, but yeah, in terms of like trying to, we already know hypercapnia is what results from wearing that mask. That's gonna have major physiological effects on people. Have compassion for that. So I remember I woke up to germ theory in 2008, and it just so happened that the conference was in Europe, in Montpellier, France, and that happened to be where Antoine Béchamp, that was his place. And I went up there to the library, and the lady didn't speak any English, but she figured it out, and I copied some stuff in French and his writings, and just I had a physical something there, like, so that I wasn't crazy. And my professor, advisor for my master's, smartest people I know, and I'm like, laid it out for him, like, this is why it doesn't work. And he listened to it all, and then he said, not, it's like playing that game, like, how about this? Better here, better here. So it's just no way to get through it, because it would have required him to rethink his whole career, like reorganize all that. So that's what, if you're wasting time telling people this, they've already been told. The ones that will get it will get it. 15% will question. 4% will question that one. So 9/11, yeah, inside job, that's for 15. Then the 4%, oh, well, it's, due, topple the buildings. There's no planes. But then there's the 1% that question everything. So that might be where we find ourselves, that 1%. 1% schizophrenia for every 99 people. But yeah, that was an interesting the coincidence there. So don't waste too much effort trying to convince people of what they're just not meant for, right? It's that the personality groups, right? There's going to be 4 out of 5 people that just are there to follow orders. There's no way around that. There's no point in trying to wake everybody up. I mean, they're the holograms, right? Where did Bill Gates go? Where did they go? What happened to the sports, pro sports? Gone. So, really just focus on what you do have control over, which is your projector. That's it. That's what makes everything. So we are ultimately responsible for our show and what you tune into. But the one guy, he was always a black guy, South Carolina, he saw where they brought the slaves in. I was like, yeah, I was there, Charleston. Yeah, I was like, but there's no slave ships. And, I gave him a couple names to look into. And but then there we were in the cafeteria, and he's going on, there's another murder. And but I already had my squad. I didn't have to say anything. One guy said fake news. He's like, then another guy, fake news. And the third guy, fake news. And he was done. He couldn't argue. So I'd already told him, like, how that all works. And he told me one day, he's like, it doesn't seem like you should be here. I was like, yeah, but maybe I should be here. Doing more good there than anywhere else. All this transgender stuff, just another test. Just another test. Yeah, it happens. But the show's going to push it right up in your face if you need it. One of the people I learned from with legal name fraud was called Kate of Gaia, Gaia, Mother Earth. And listen to some interviews, and it's a guy, voice. But then you watch the videos, it's a woman. Looks like a woman. But got me what I needed at that point. But so far you got just discern that after a while. But there's a page on Facebook. But yeah, very good for all the legal stuff. But you're never going to beat that legal system if you don't know what. I mean, legal is the undoing of God's will. Um, maybe I have to pop in on some of those groups, man. Like, you just get that law straight, you can slice through all that stuff. Because that's all it's there for. That's just no one's telling anyone what's going on. Uh, Someone said, well, it's a simulated sun. Well, yeah, it is. This is a simulation. Um, this is a testing ground. So of course it would be. So all the movies where, like, always Ed Harris or someone up there, and old white guy, the old white light. It's the same story. Like, that part never really changes. That Bible is just like right up to date, up to the moment. And it's just one way of trying to reach you, get your attention. So finally, with so I get interviewed by like 10 different people. Some of them were like telehealth through the TVs, it's all weird, and like, what's going on with you? And finally, I just said, well, have you ever had a conversation with yourself? And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. I said, well, who was listening? And they're like, oh, So I said that like the last 6 times. Like, where would I begin? That's for someone who's really seeking. You got to want those answers. I was like, there's no way to explain what I was going through other than that, because you seek and you'll find. Truly. But yeah, that was a good one to get to people. Like, what is that observer? Does it exist? If you could picture yourself on a beach and you see yourself, what is that? A higher power? Yeah. Yeah. See the Bible people arguing, Torah, Talmud. There's a lot of systems, but like we keep saying, it's just one song. In the past, people were smarter. They knew more. You can tell that just from the progression of the books. They've had to dumb down the Bible, dumb down all society, right? Charlotte Iserbat, the school teacher, dumbing everything down. But what would be the logic behind that to make it easier for people to get that realization, right? Modern problems require modern solutions. We talked about that. Like, there's Bibles out there that blow your mind away, like pictures, and like, it's just straight, because they knew, they didn't question, they experienced it directly. So I don't even know, who knows what's true in history, but one of the tests for the so-called pharaohs was they would go underwater and they would have to find an escape route, and they would experience death without leaving their body, and that's what gave them the insight and the knowledge to be beneficent rulers. So that's what everyone's clamoring for, right? I like Trump just because he speaks off the hook. He's entertaining. When I had to listen to him there in my isolation, but that's not his role. He can't do that. That's for you. That's for us to figure that out. This whole thing is our play. There's not a single thing out there that we're not involved in. So when you find yourself bitching about that system, take it, just kick it back around and through. Because that's you actually manifesting that, and you're paying attention to that. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't, I subscribe to all my YouTube channels and all that. Big crowds, a lot of big crowds. But the crowd seems to want to just go to, like, they're hitting the same drums for them. So they feel a part, like they have a community. But this would be the next step in that evolution. Everyone's waiting on us. That 15% plus the 4% and the 1% to make some sense out of this. And that's the whole game. Yahshua, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Mashiach, Mashaik, different names in different places. But that was a key thing that helped me get through these guys had rough lives, man. Like, they've been in prison, and parents are dead, and rough stuff. But that that consciousness, the Christ consciousness, 33 hertz, that's coming in. That's just the only way it could come in. It's not going to be out on the set. So it's just that state of mind, that awareness, that you have control over what's in your court, right? Anything that presents itself, it's for your review, because you're a king. There's no king, right? There's the Queen of England. We'll keep her going forever until a king shows up. That's what it's all about. But that's just a conscious state of consciousness. Jesus Christ is a title for someone who has that knowledge. If you want to look into the Druids, that was a period where the knowledge was concentrated in, Ireland, probably after some reset. But they knew that, they didn't fear death, because they knew that it's just one big organism, one big consciousness. So when any part that is removed becomes the first cornerstone, because it's just one big consciousness. People were afraid of all the floods and cataclysms. Just know that you had a part in that. You participated in that through your consciousness. And the spirit doesn't make you go through like horrific things. You just get up on out of there, because your body's just, your suit. You tried it. Keep seeing all the lookalikes. Well, there's only so many combinations to make these bodies, right? I mean, it's not going to be like, but it's the spirit that's inside that we need to just see through it, right into the eyes, to all the animals. That's that same consciousness. There's 1,000 varieties of cat. So how many varieties of humans are you going to believe in? We know that one. Just catch that one right before it comes out. Anything you say after that, just catch it. Does it exist? Does it exist? That would be your first question. Presidents are, they always say that they're elevated to 32nd degree Mason when they become a president. So what's that telling you? Well, it's not a king. What is a president? A corporation has a president, right? Board of directors, all that stuff. So they're not 33. That's what we're all getting to, right? So our threes can see the threes, and we know it's our mirror, and we know that life is us. So that's why they're not 33 degree Mason presidents, just for that reason, because they can't take you over that hill. Only you can make that transition to be free. Well, the people were like, what's skull and crossbones? And it's funny because Yale was one of my last two schools to pick from. And I picked Cornell because it was pretty. They reported that in the paper. But I saw Rob Aller, he wrote for Springfield News Sun. I'll pull out some of the stuff he wrote back then. But here he is, everybody's dying from COVID. And like, really? Is it anybody thinking? But 4 out of 5, they know the rules. They're probably just not thinking. Not too many people are thinking, except us on here. So, let's be grateful that we have this way to communicate. It's the Facebook. It's the real information. Because you can just tell when someone's bullshitting in their face, right? In their eyes. All-seeing eye. Contract tracing, digital currency, social scores. It kind of makes sense when you know what's really going on. You want to go buy pork with your money and break the law, yeah, it's going to get expensive. And you're going to, how else would a higher grain architect go about conveying that message? I mean, that said, all I did was eat and sleep, prison sleep. I was sleeping like 12 hours a day. And then, just overfeeding everyone, 8:30 breakfast, noon lunch, 5 o'clock dinner. And I was just like, I'm just going to climb back on down Jacob's ladder, man, just become one of them, It's not time for spiritual ascension. I need to get up out of there. But just like every, noodles and chicken over mashed potatoes, lasagna. Oh, I just ate it all. So now it's all coming out. But just the distraction, ground myself through food. But I wasn't gonna worry about it. I skipped a couple meals, but where are the pop stars? Like, where's Neil Young? Does he have an opinion on any of this? Um, Iggy Pop looks like Jennifer Aniston. It's funny. I was a security guard at Polaris Amphitheater back in the day, and I was up there on stage watching the monitor, and I think the Stone Temple Pilots guy, he went out and surfed the crowd, the act before, and then Iggy Pop, I'm watching, and I see him just dart off the stage, and I'm watching it on the screen, but then I look down on the floor, he go right on my shoulder, but the crowd just parted. He fell like 10 feet, separated his shoulder. I looked at the other security guy, and we're like, what do we do? And we just picked him up. He probably weighed 120 pounds. He was cold and clammy. And we just put him back up on stage, and he was in too much pain. They had to care flight him out. But notice that there's no one in that media saying anything. John Legend had a thing Sunday night on TV. Still talking about all this race stuff and this COVID stuff. Now he's like one of the smarter people, right? Anyone who knows him, extremely intelligent. Is he saying anything? Questioning anything than the accepted narrative? So how tight is all that narrative? We have each other to bounce our real ideas off of. So thank goodness for that. Because it's not going to come from out there. That show is the show. So just get used to that. The red dress in the Matrix movies, red lady in the red dress, all that. Red is that first color, the blood. That's the animal layer. It's the first chakra, right? Fire down below, and that lust. That's basically what it comes down to. So that's what that is showing. You're putting that desire. It's to be tested here, but it's also to be mastered. It's part of that, right? So that's why that always shows up. The Way of Mastery. Looking forward to getting into that book, because those are the teachings from that level. The 33 Christ consciousness, 369. That high fidelity information. There's no arguing possible when that comes in. So that's something to look forward to. Sex differences. You're a sexist, a racist. That's another identity role that people can fall into. But examine it for what it is. Examine what your roles are. It's okay to have them. Just be aware of them. If you're a father, you provide food for your family, all that stuff. Just be aware of it. And go about it more consciously. And Monker wanted to say hi. It's not that you're supposed to stop everything you're doing and become a saint or an ascetic. It's not like that. It's just to be more conscious of everything you do. If you're going to the store or anything, those are opportunities to look people in the eye, shake their hand. That's where all that starts. But if you're rushing around and trying to get stuff done and you're worried about all that, then you lost the rail. You can just slow it down. But I remember my stepmom, I was shadow boxing in the kitchen. She had like these ceramic mugs hanging up, and I got too close and hit one, broke it. So I cleaned it up, just grabbed another one out of the pantry and put it there, replaced it. First thing, she walked in the kitchen, she noticed it right away. Like, I was like, what? How is that even possible? So yeah, they're just another sex difference, right? Women pay attention to the details. Guys, we walk into a room and like the couch would be missing, we wouldn't even notice. I've had that happen to me plenty of times. So we'll keep this one a little short.
You going to say hi, Uncle Fight?
One guy that I've watched for a while is Observation Deck. He taught me a lot of stuff, but they're always just they're stuck at that level. They don't see that there's a higher design to what's going on in the world. It just seems crazy because it is. And it has to be. That's the only way it would be, because it's not the real world. So yeah, I'll keep seeing where I can drop this info, because it's the way out. It's the way through, right? No point in screaming at the show. So that's yours. But back to the Yale. The skull and crossbones. Well, we know what the cross is. That's your vagus nerve, 10th cranial nerve, and the skull is the mind. So that's pretty straight ahead. And then it's like 322. What's all that? And just running the numbers and thinking about it, and that's how close it is. Their whole system is just wants to go to a 3-2-3, so that the three see each other in the dual world, the duality world. That's how close it is. We talked about that free will, 50-50, 49-51, but that's the 3-2-3. That's what they play. They play those roles. And I was like, man, if I went to Yale, maybe I'd be put in that service somehow. I was like, oh, that'd have been terrible. All the secret societies and stuff, but it's probably not that, I mean, Cornell, we had our secret club too, but all we did was see how many beers you can drink in a half hour or whatever it was, and you sign your name in the book. We just got drunk. There was our head football coach's name in there from the 70s. So the guy was applying for a job, and he said, there's a 4-year gap in your resume here. He said, oh, I went to Yale. I said, oh wow, Ivy League school, that's impressive. You're hired. He goes, good, because I really need this yob. Mexican word of the day. So we can laugh at stuff like that. I mean, it's just pronunciation, because we know what the source of life is that's in all of us, is to be enjoyed. We find pleasure in that, right? The fellowship, the real fellowship. It's good to be back. So I don't know if anybody has any particular questions. So yeah, what's the show going to do next? Let's go look into the tour deck and see what gets played out. I'll look into that. I just had to organize all day today. Get back on my feet here. Yeah, I mean, the Bible has the locusts right there. Didn't catch on here very much, but it's like to locate where your soul is. That's what the locust is. That's what it represents. So there's always something behind the stage scenery. So just take it for face value. Yeah, you're going crazy. But think about what it might really represent, and then all this stuff will start to make sense. I was in the hospital that first night, and they had to do a COVID test on this gal, and she came out and she was like, oh man, they just stuck something like way up in their nose, like way up in there. That's like, you hear all the, oh, maybe they're putting a nanobot in there and this and that, but that's the first cranial nerve, olfactory. It's probably just trying to get your attention. That'd be my guess. It's just a piece of plastic. I asked her all about it, like, what happened? And yeah, they stick it way up in there, both nostrils. I was like, what's the point? I mean, how can you even test positive for this shit? And they're taking your temperature all the time. I always ask them what it is. I'm like, well, when do you get worried? They didn't know. They have no idea. It's just taking your temperature. So if you go see Foreigner at the concert, you know, what are all the Foreigner songs talking about heat and temperature? So just symbolic again, just symbolism. It wants to know where your mind is, where your temple is. What's the stature of your temple? That's why they're taking your temperature. So anyway, look forward to what comes up next, because you know it's going to be hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious from our point of view, but then hilarious to, you know, they got people crawling around on all fours. They would, and they don't even question it. So you know we're protected because 4 out of 5 people are protecting us from that because they're complying. There's sheep, yeah, but we're all the golden fleece, and they're playing their part. The show's playing their part. And now we who have been asking all these questions, it's time for us to step up and play our part. It's just assessing the whole field, where everyone's consciousness is, to see who's ready to graduate from this stage and not live in fear. So I'll just you know, put that out there again. If there's anything that you find you're afraid of, just seek it out and sit with it, because only we can make ourselves afraid. There is nothing to fear, not even death. Right? The Druids knew that. They had knowledge of that. I had a few experiences when I was coming in and out of my dream state there. I've seen it to the other world where I was dreaming. When I came back into mine, I was like, "Ooh, I don't want to be." I went back into it, you know. And finally, I had to get back in my body. But so yeah, that's what's waiting for us on the other side. But that's not the point. Like, you can do that right now. The born again Christian, that's what that's all about, right? Because you died when you came in here, you've lost your memory. And then you're born again, you remember. And then there's no fear there, you know. So we just love. All right, everybody, I'll keep this one short today. So yeah, we'll just pick up from here. See a lot of watch parties. That's good. Like, just get on there. I see more people just taking photos of themselves. That face to face. That's what that's our real stimulus. You know, the movies and TV shows, that's taking that place. But that's what we're really watching. The little reactions. You know, Jason Bateman, his little mannerisms. That's how sensitive we are. Like, that's the real high tech. That's the ultimate high tech. Talk about artificial intelligence. That's us down here, kind of intelligent, but there's no heart. So people are going to be afraid of that. You know, they're going to come back with the second wave. You need a vaccine. I mean, they've already done it. You already got vaccinated when you were a kid. You had no say-so because your parents were still kids. They didn't know. So this is the generation that we learned that from all those generations. And it's like they died for our freedoms. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows what goes on there. I have my theories. I think they take a few platoons, you know, like 3, but then there's probably 9 that are acting. So they'll come back with stories. Some of them pretty horrific. But it's all managed from on high for all these wars. So if they really die for our freedoms, why aren't we free? Teach us we're free. But this is what true freedom is freeing yourself from being afraid. And that's all you have to offer anyone is love. There's no point in asking for that from someone else. Right? Just do it. You can do it yourselves. That's how powerful we are. All right, everybody. Much love. I'll see you on the next one.